Snowboarding is always, to me, just going to be a fun thing to do like it was when I started. It's never going to be like some work or some chore that I have to do. If it's going to come naturally, it has to be natural like it was when I started. Just like snowboarding for the sole reason of having fun and getting better, I guess.
Whatever I see, I can translate into what I love. Everything I look at, I try and look at not just what it is, but what it could be or what the potential is. Like, you gotta look beyond what you see to see the potential, you know? Every single person looks different on a snowboard, you know? And it's not like they're trying to look that way. That's just how it naturally works for their body and their mind, you know? There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no rules. That's why it's so sick. Well, both my parents are just so positive. We never had much money. We were struggling for a lot of my childhood, but they were never like fazed by it. Like, we always still had so many good family fun times and just were always super happy, everyone, like my whole childhood.
You know, his mom and dad really did everything they could for him. His dad, Barry, would take him to a lot of events, you know, just gave him that opportunity to skate and snowboard and do what he loves.
When you were young and your excitement showed.
Then eventually, Ross Powers, he had this like foundation that would give all these Vermont kids the opportunity to like have some extra money to do whatever they wanted to do. And that's how it all started. And through that foundation, like that really like helped me so much as a young kid, like have a little bit of extra money so I could travel to some contests.
Forrest, how come you missed practice yesterday?
I've been in Mount Baker. Way sicker there.
All right, Forrest, you just won the X Games. How does that make you feel?
Whatever. Feel great.
Have him go on and create a career for himself, you know, definitely a sense of pride, definitely stoked to see that he took advantage of it and was able to follow his dreams.
And here was this 16-year-old kid who had a mustache. And you know what was really made him stand out is he was doing the most surreal swivels on rails. He would swivel, swivel, pivot, swivel. You know, and that's when Gooter and all those guys were into those swivels on rails.
It seemed like with Forrest, he was just all of a sudden, it was like some rail jams or whatever, and then he had a pro model, and he was just like a pro. And he was good enough to back it up, but all of a sudden it was like, oh, here's this kid who's a pro all of a sudden.
When you were young, you never knew which way you'd go.
I think Forrest deserved his pro model as early as he got it. It was pretty obvious to everyone that he was going to be a special talent, and as soon as you see something like that, man, you want to reward it. Like, you knew he was going to be around, and you knew he was going to be ripping for a long time.
He went from a relative unknown to one of the most popular snowboarders in the world. And that's because what Forrest is best at is finding relatable things in his snowboarding and making them gnarly.
I've seen so much snowboarding in the past, 3 decades, and I've been such a fanatic. And so, to some extent, I'm kind of jaded by seeing snowboarding. So when something really stands out and only happens like twice a year or once a year, I like super excited, and that's exactly what happened with Forrest's part. You know, I saw that, had never really heard of him, and it was just so much more unique than a lot of the things I've seen in the last couple of years. You know, just kind of like a very loose and spontaneous type of snowboarding that just doesn't seem as planned, even though there might be a lot of work going into it. You know, it just seems like someone who's still like not following any rules, but just kind of shredding. You know, but on an amazing level. You know.
When we were filming Given, it was like there was no force, there was no pressure, there was nothing like, there was no voice in our head telling us it had to be super good and we had to like do this certain way. It was just like we were gonna go out and film snowboarding because that's what we wanted to do.
Keegan and Forrest are genuine friends. The fact that they ended up under the same roof together is pretty awesome because it happens to be two guys that are at the forefront of pushing a certain type of snowboarding together in a way that is extremely progressive.
I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for Keegan. He's helped me in so many ways through Gnarly and through the Given movies, which were totally Keegan's brainchild completely. I've been able to become the snowboarder that I am today, which I'm so grateful for it. Inspiration for me just comes from everything. The planet that we live on, the people that I know, places that I go, things that I see, music that I hear. Everything. Life is inspiring.
He's one of a kind. That's really all there is to it for me. He's like, I mean, it's just like nobody snowboards like Forrest. People might try, but nobody snowboards like Forrest.
I've been snowboarding since I was 5 and I've been skating since I was 7. I've been doing it my whole life. And what re-attracted me to Adidas when I was like a teenager was its skate program. Obviously with Mark Gonzalez on there, who is pretty much the most legendary human alive. The whole team is just so crazy. Kuznets and Silas and Blem and everybody. Knowing that Adidas had done so many cool things involving skateboarding, I knew that they would be trying to do cool stuff in snowboarding too, and they were trying to use that same outlook to go about it. And Keegan's on too, which is just like, it's just dope. It's cool.
A lot of the times you go out with him, he's just constantly pushing towards the best thing that you can think of for that feature. And that's just the type of rider that he is. He just wants to like always outdo himself, and he's not ever really comparing what had been done or whatever. He's just on his own other planet, you know, like coming up with what he wants, and that's like the most progressive thing right now for sure.
With the opportunity to do the Transworld movie, like he was the first person that came to mind. Like, you gotta get Forrest on the roster. You don't know what he's capable of. You're just like, oh yeah, I'll do this. And you can't be like, dude, you're not gonna do that, because they'll do it. And you're just like, okay, maybe you will do that. But that's the thing with Forrest, you don't know what to expect.
Forrest might be one of the most naturally talented riders whose talent in all terrain hasn't been realized.
I think Forrest was waiting for that opportunity to push his backcountry riding the way that he knew he could, and I think during that time he might have opened his own eyes into like what could be possible, you know, and what he can accomplish, and that's always amazing when a rider is just empowered by their own progression.
Hey, anybody that thinks that Forrest is pigeonholed into being a jib kid is gonna have their minds blown when they see that Nation movie and when they see what Forrest does in the future. I mean, he is a snowboarder. He can ride anything.
You can pretty much tell just by the way he like turns his snowboard. It just works. It looks natural, you know? Nothing looks like forced or anything. It just looks like it's meant to exist there in that time and space or whatever. It's just perfect harmony with the rest of the earth.
This is the newest board that's out, or no, that will come out this winter. Space case. And of course, you know, we got the samples, obviously. It was funny, I went into the spot the other day and they gave me these statuses, which look super old. I don't know if... You seen that show? I don't know when these are from. OG Silas shoe. Pretty tight.